Hey, welcome in, everybody. It's Monday afternoon. Woo, what a weekend for Colorado sports. And hey, we got two Avalanche games yesterday. A lot to unpack. I'm Jesse Montagne. You're going to be joined by Megan Angley in just a moment. Should be a fun show ahead. We're out of the off season. Really excited to dig into all of it. As always, do want to start by reminding you guys about our great friends over at RefiJet. Did you know that you could refinance your auto loan? With RefiJet, you could save around $150 every single month, all which is a soft credit pull and zero hassle. Lower payments, flexible terms, maybe even some cash back in your pocket from your car's equity. RefiJet does the work. You get the savings. Start today at RefiJet.com, the faster, easier way to refinance. Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. Hey, everybody, welcome in. Monday afternoon. Did I say morning earlier? It's Monday afternoon. I'm Jesse Montagne. She's Megan Angley. This is Gorilla Sports Off Ice. We got Ashley and Dan behind the glass today. Megan, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm better today than I was yesterday, and I want to let everyone know why I was awfully quiet yesterday. Now this wasn't confirmed because I would have had to have gone into the doctor. I just spoke with one via telechat. I had a bit of a kidney stone issue yesterday, Megan, it appears. So I'm on the mend today, but man, I was getting ready to meet you guys down there. We had all talked, and then like a ton of bricks, I started experiencing some blinding pain. I'm on the mend. I'm feeling. I'm gonna stop short of saying 100%, but I'm feeling better. So today is a much better day than yesterday.
I'm really glad to hear that. I'm texting because I'm getting the link out for the show, but I'm listening fully.
I never doubted you for a second.
And I was very, very worried about
I can tell you were, and I really appreciated it.
Because of the Hannah of it all. Like, if she was there with you,
right?
And I assumed that, it was all fine. But when I learned that detail, I got kind of nervous.
Yeah, my wife, who is in medicine, out of the country right now with her mom. So I was telling you, not only was she not home for me to, ask questions. Hey, what's this? She can always give me like a little at-home exam, pushing on your sides. Does this hurt?
Right.
I couldn't even get. It was 3 a.m. It was the middle of the night for her. But so yeah, definitely a little scary. I appreciated Megan was checking in on me all night, and I really appreciated that. I got through it. My parents ended up coming by.
Good. Okay.
I actually didn't want to tell you this when you had texted me like, oh, maybe my parents were out of town yesterday. They got back in town last night.
Oh dear.
So they came straight to my house to check on me when they got back into town. So yeah, it was a little touch and go yesterday, Megan, but I'm on the mend. I didn't eat yesterday as a result of how bad everything hurt. So I'm extremely hungry right now. But otherwise, I really don't have any complaints because I don't feel how I felt 20 hours ago.
Hopefully you get your appetite back, get some food, your energy comes back as well. Day to day. Upper body.
Day to day upper body is the perfect way to describe it. But I want to publicly give the shout out here to you and Mark. You guys, it's double header yesterday. We had a whole plan on how we were going to cover both. And all right, you'll go there, and you guys had to completely pivot at the last second to cover for me. So I really, really appreciate that. I know I did not throw an easy curveball at you guys yesterday. So
I mean, Utah Mammoth had it harder. So it's all a matter of perspective, really.
Kidding.
So funnily enough, when they did get into town, like as I was coming into Magnus, I didn't see any trace of their bus, of the player. So I was like, they're still not here yet. And so when they waited for warmups too. They delayed warmups a little bit, but at some point they just had to call it. And so the Avs players came onto the ice. And so at some point it was just the Avs taking warmups.
Okay.
Utah was still not there yet. Then 2 guys come on from Utah, and they slowly started to trickle out. But it was clear to me that they just came straight from landing and they're thrown onto the ice. I really feel for them. That's got to be a tough situation.
Sorry, as I set my laptop down. You know what's crazy to me? Last year, the Utah Mammoth thought that warmups were 20 minutes later than they were. Do you remember this?
I do remember.
The Avs got 15 minutes into warmups, 10 minutes into warmups before anyone from Utah came out onto the ice.
Well, I couldn't remember. Was it preseason as well?
It was.
Okay.
It was.
Okay.
And so as I'm watching the scenes roll in on my phone in the middle of grunting in pain, I'm sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck?
These guys hate warmups.
These guys just can't get preseason warmups figured out. And I just think that's so funny that 2 years in a row, the Utah Mammoth have come to Ball Arena for a preseason game and have not made it out on the ice in time for warmups. Crazy. Different circumstances this year, but still, I just thought that was interesting. But Megan, part of the excitement about a split squad game is you're kind of forced to play a lot of guys. Usually, we see NHL teams get into camp, get into preseason, and those first couple games are, they're playing the veteran minimum. It is mostly AHL guys, ECHL guys, getting in their couple looks before they leave for their own camps. You had to ice 2 full rosters yesterday, so that meant we got a lot of looks at NHL guys, all the way from Gabe Landeskog and Cale Makar to what's Victor Olofsson gonna look like out there in an Avs sweater, and Marty Netchis, who I thought looked really good from what I was able to see. Just your broad strokes thoughts. It's preseason, so you never can't dig too far into it, but you watched two Avs games yesterday. What'd you think? Broad strokes.
I felt like they were 2 kind of different games in a way, nothing crazy or dramatic, but I like that about it, right? 2 different games. Interestingly too, didn't love the start in the first game that was on Magnus ice. I felt like the Avs were a little slow to getting to their transition game, and I wanted to see just a little more energy. I felt like they were getting worked off pucks more easily than they should be, and they turned it around into the second period and beyond, and obviously took complete control over that game after that point. And so it was really encouraging. I think I was watching it with my friend who is very sports minded, played a lot of sports growing up, but is new to hockey. And she's saying that Makar and Landeskog, they're at the forefront of everything. And she's aware they're the guys, but she's seeing it too. Just her experience has been watching Eagles games. This is her first ever NHL game too. So she really got to see the difference between those levels. And it was clear to her the difference then in Landeskog and Makar separating from the rest. I think that's a significant observation. I would affirm it too, that it was clear to me, especially in an encouraging way, that Landeskog in that game at the Magnus ice appears to be in a really good place, because not so different from not having played hockey in a long while, then doing the conditioning stint, getting dropped into Stanley Cup playoff games. He has a summer break. And so every player comes into camp a little rusty. They need to get their bearings a little bit, shake off that rust. For Landeskog, it's kind of a different situation, but it really seemed just like a regular player coming into camp, shaking off the usual rust, and not a player who missed so much time before this. And so I think those games he got in at the end of last year for the playoffs really helped dip his toes in, get an idea of where he was at, because he wasn't withholding. And I mean, obviously this becomes really an interesting storyline later in the game, but in terms of what he was doing on the offensive side of the puck, lots of energy in his game throughout the night, and at the forefront of a lot of offensive plays, and with the help of young Gavin Brindley, who really impressed in that game as well. Yeah.
Just going back to the comment your friend made about Makar and Landeskog, I think I've told you this story before on a show, that when my family first we moved to Denver the year before the Avs got here. And so in their inaugural year, my dad, big sports fan. Where we moved from, there wasn't a hockey team. So, we got to kind of be part of this exciting buzz. They're like, hey, there's a team here now. And my dad tells a story to this day that, we were all kind of sitting down. I was 2. I was really little. My mom knew nothing about hockey. And they're watching the game. She goes, man, that number 19 guy is really good. When
it was like that.
When people who aren't familiar with the sport, the team, the players can look at a game and go, that guy's better than everyone else. That just tells you how special those players are.
That should be really good, encouraging news for Avs fans as to where Landeskog is at the start of this season. Also, I wanted to shout out in the chat before we get too far along, Mishnish, spotting me in the crowd at DU yesterday. I don't normally get to sit in the regular seating too, so that's really cool. Sorry I didn't say hi, but glad that you got to enjoy some hockey this weekend.
Yeah, seriously. Again, Megan, I felt so bad. I so look forward to that first game, and I was actually excited to do, again, we had a fun plan to do the 2 games. I was really bummed. I was texting you at the first intermission, like, okay, well, maybe I can power through.
Yeah.
And you said, and this is kind of just to the point of what you were making about the Avs cleaning things up eventually. You had said, you were like, honestly, man, don't push it. This is some ugly hockey right now.
And that was after only the first period, you guys.
Right,
it got better. It got better.
Well, and truthfully, I mean, preseason, first game back, split squad. I was sitting there and I was like, oh man, she's right. It probably is, pretty ugly. But I want to ask you, and again, maybe I'm going too far on this, but Gabe Landeskog is going to obviously be a big topic of conversation today for us on this show. And not just the fact that he got back into the games, but what, like you said, the storyline that he created a little bit later. Again, probably going a little bit overboard with this, but I just can't help but tie a little bit of a parallel to, okay, you telling me this is ugly hockey, that's not really looking great. And then that group goes into the locker room and suddenly comes out and just runs away with it. And what was the difference there? Well, Gabe Landeskog was sitting in that locker room, and you just have to wonder, is that already the immediate impact that we're seeing of this is a guy, even in a room full of young guys who probably aren't going to be with the NHL club, knows how to strike the right chords, knows what to say. And what Jared Bednar used to talk to us about, he's so smart. He understands a lot of what the coaching staff is going to want to come into the locker room and point out. And so Gabe Landeskog is good about kind of getting ahead of that and being able to articulate it in a way that's more digestible for players, maybe. Again, given our brief kind of exchange at the end of the first period, and then given the way the game ended, that was something that ran through my head is, man, is that the off-ice Gabe Landeskog effect? And again, it's preseason. I don't want to go overboard here.
Yeah, but it's an important call out because you look at who facilitated almost all of the goals in that game, and it came off the stick of, or a screen from Landeskog or Makar. And that's significant. They're leading not only in what is being said between periods, but what they're doing on the ice as well to help support their teammates. And so even though the stakes are preseason stakes, for them to take ownership of the game in that way and be drivers like they were is significant then in just where their mindset is going into the season. They're taking this as a very serious opportunity for them to get ready for the year ahead. And so I think that power play goal from Gavin Brindley, it stands out as significant. And the one that he has from distance with Landeskog as a screen at the net front stands out as significant because one is facilitated by Makar on the power play, and the other involves Landy doing Landy things and getting to the net front, taking away a goaltender's eyes and making it possible. And so, they needed to change the momentum of that game with some goal support. And it was through the offensive plays of decisions by Makar, decisions by Landeskog that helped make that possible.
Quick side tangent. Did you DraftKings has Gabe Landeskog's over under set it basically even money. I think it's like minus 105, 20 goals, 20 and a half is Gabe Landeskog's over under for this year. So when I hear you say he's going back to the front of the net and all that shit, I'm like, dang, I might go in and take Gabe Landeskog over 20 goals because I don't know if you're going to get better odds on that, especially, if we're seeing him being not afraid to get back in the mix.
And honestly, before injury cropped up for him, he was a consistent goal scorer in this league, like down to a science. So I don't think those are bad odds. Just given with where he's at, I think, yeah, there will inevitably be maybe some rust that's being shaken off and just managing to how he's feeling, right? Like taking an off day on that Saturday training camp practice day to make sure he's feeling recharged 100%. We might see some of that in season, but I don't think that's going to affect his goal scoring that much.
Right. No, I agree with you. Again, we're going to circle back to Gabe Landeskog plenty here. Gavin Brindley and Danil Gushchin played in 2 separate games, but these are kind of guys that I'm keeping, just a larger eye on. So Brindley has an impact in the first game. And I liked the rebound goal that he scored off the Makar shot. Because again, it's kind of like a bouncing puck, and he covers a lot of ground, right? Because he's out high to get that puck over to Makar. But then as soon as he sees Makar move into that shooting lane, what does he do? He heads to the net. That puck comes out, and credit to him for corralling a little bit of a bouncing puck. But he doesn't just get on the board. Gushchin gets on the board as well. Did they both play in the
They were
DU game?
together, so
Okay.
Gushchin played with Drury and Natushkin.
Right. Okay. All right. Then, because as I thought
It's a
about
lot
it,
to keep track of.
I was like, well, wait, hold on. No, because Cale set up Gushchin for the goal, so they weren't in separate games. I apologize. Let's key in on those 2 guys here for a second, Megan, because those are 2 guys that I think when you're looking at Avs opening night roster, especially with the Logan O'Connor injury early on, and you're saying, okay, well, who could potentially be a guy that could stand out for that role? I think you have to include both of those guys' names. So they both scored goals, which is kind of what they've been known for in their career. What else did you see out of the 2 undersized forwards that are looking to make an NHL impact?
Yeah, just a continuation of everything I've liked about Gavin Brindley. The report of what I liked about him before coming here, what he did at Michigan in the AHL last year, rookie tournament now. Just constantly, his motor's always running.
Mhm.
And so I think that also helped to turn the tide in this game. And the physicality held up well again, right? Like he's not exactly an imposing player himself, but he is not being hampered. It is
Mhm.
not a detriment to him. And just continuing to work through some of the challenges, like Utah better in these games than they did in the rookie tournament because they have some of their more experienced players now.
Mhm.
Better than in their coverage through the neutral zone and in the O zone or their D zone, making it difficult for the Avs to create inside home plate, especially at the start of this game. And so where Brindley shined is getting to those dangerous areas of the ice, leveraging his skating to do so. We talk about the confidence of a player to do that, especially, that is the dangerous areas of the ice. It obviously rewards him in this game too. And so I just continue to like the maturity, the confidence of Brindley, the strength of his skating, obviously continues to give him advantages. It's funny too that it's been Utah, like Utah in the rookie tournament, now Utah here. So I want to see him against other competition
Right.
too. But still a lot of those same large hulking players. And so in those races for pucks below the goal line, he's bracing himself for contact and he's really no worse for wear. So not sure where to put him just yet in terms of battling for opening night lineup spots. Because what's interesting to me is you've got that 4th line center position that is going to be open for grabs come opening night. That also, though, there's a winger spot in there somewhere. And it's also fair to say that maybe whoever doesn't win out for that 4C spot is a viable winger instead. So there still might be some competition ahead of Brindley then in terms of that winger spot. But I think that skill upside and what he's able to do on the offensive side of the puck has impressed me more because he struggled, obviously, last year to create. And I think that he came into this season with that goal in mind to take that huge step forward. So I see the early returns of that. And I think he could then add a high skill upside to a 4th line role that maybe, like Ivan, who without getting carried away here, like in measuring, I got to see Bardakov, Prishepov, and Ivan all play yesterday. So kind of have this interesting set of data to work with here. And so, in terms of the puck skill between the 3, I liked Ivans the most. But it also came with some vulnerabilities, turning over the puck because he overhandled it at the offensive blue line. So it's like, okay, I want to see him a little stronger on pucks then, right? Not getting too cute with it. But the puck skill was the most impressive because it also allowed him to kind of get inside ice as well through some of that skilled handling when it worked for him. So anyways, all that to say, Brindley, of those four, then, if we're like looking at a winger spot, might have the most offensive upside of all of them. But it's an intriguing conversation that I'll be keeping an eye on closely as we go through.
Of everything you said there, there's one thing I want to pick out of there, and I just want to take a quick little moment. You mentioned, like, okay, we've seen a lot of Utah. And you know what else we've seen a lot of? These white jerseys of theirs that didn't change at all from last year. The temporary design they said they didn't want to rush through. They end up getting branding that I have my own, I have other thoughts on. But they do all of it. They get a logo. And what do? They keep the temporary design on the white jerseys. And that seems to be all they're interested in wearing. That was all they wore in the rookie tournament. They wore them twice yesterday. Like, grow up. Get a real jersey like the rest of the NHL and stop trying to be the New York Rangers with diagonal words right across your chest. You developed a logo. You made everyone wait over a year for it. Put it on the jersey and be an adult,
My friend said they looked like practice jerseys.
They do.
I
had someone on Twitter I saw, they were like, well, it's because they're proud of being from Utah. It's like, yeah, that's why they're the Utah Mammoth. We know you're from Utah. I don't need you to spell it out across your chest.
Picture this, diagonal, Utah, just like the old Colorado.
Done.
Words
yeah.
That we all loved. Okay. I'm actually not a jersey person. I have no stake.
It is just
I have no skin in the game.
Driven me nuts that not only did they keep basically the identical design for what was supposed to be the temporary road uniform, they didn't change the home jersey design either. They just took the word Utah off and replaced it with the new logo. So it's like, I just don't get why you went through this whole charade of telling everybody we're not going to rush our branding. We're going to make sure we get it right. We're going to get the right design. And we're so much so that we're going to wear temporary jerseys because we want to get this right. A year later, like, never mind. That was fine, I guess. It's like, what did you spend the last year doing?
What if they like them? What if the players were like, but we like them?
And that's fine, but they shouldn't have made such a big deal out of like, no, this shit. No, this is just temporary. Don't even look at these. We're not keeping these for long. We threw this together in a weekend. All of that just for them to come up with a logo that's fine, and then just to stick it on the jersey that they said that not everyone to take too seriously because these are the temps. And it's driven me nuts because we've already seen them 50 times this preseason. And it's like, can you guys grow up and get a real jersey already? Or at least wear the other one that you have?
All right. I'm going to take your foot off their necks. And we're gonna talk about Daniil Gushchin quickly because you asked me about both Brindley and Gushchin. I only talked about
and then I want to talk about Ivan as well because you threw his name in there.
Perfect.
But yes, Gushchin.
I don't have as much to say about Daniil Gushchin, and that is not a demerit of him. He was due one. Like you could see the frustration when he couldn't get one to go earlier in the game. So I think he's exactly as advertised in terms of the shot threat, like even just like the wrister shot threat from Gushchin. And honestly, from that line, my takeaways were, one, Val Nichushkin was trying to just straight up power through guys in transition. Honestly, loved it because that was a struggle earlier in the game. So just love to see where Val's at, kind of that freight train mentality, obviously not withholding in his game either, given just the injury up and downs he's dealt with. That's obviously encouraging to see. But what I really loved was Jack Drury as a facilitator. He kept trying forward, like the cross slot, just stretch passes, and he was finding seams. So I will not go as far to say that he had quite, the same vision as Arturi Lehkonen from behind the net does at times, but I saw shades of it. And I was like, I could be talked into Jack Drury at 3C more and more as we go on. And again, I was ready to, what was it? Just a day of camp that I was after the Ross Cold interview. I was like, sold. I've seen all I need to see, but I just continue to like what I see from Jack Drury. Also, this really great play on the kill, great stick in the crease to clear the puck. Was very close call. So anyways, just continue to love what I've seen from Jack Drury and where he appears to be at the start of this year.
I mean, he really struck me as a guy who came in last year and understood the opportunity that was being put in front of him. And understood going from last year to this year, there's a chance for me here to move up the lineup in a role that I think I'm capable of filling, and doing it for a team that's really, really good. So, as much as we were joking that day that after one day at camp, you were like, yep, done. I do like the fact that it feels like every time Jack Drury gets on the ice right now, it's something we like. He's, good habits, having an impact, and is noticeable out there. Like, I think for a player that you're looking to elevate from a fourth to a third line role, and, one of the things that we talked about with Ross Colton last week of like, he said, we don't want it to be treated like a third line where you're just going out there to try to survive. Like, no, we want to be impactful. We want to be offensive threats. We want to, feel like we're not just out there to survive. And if Jack Drury's continuing to make these strides, it's going to be a lot easier for you to sit there and go, yeah, we feel comfortable with him, Nate, Brock, Jack Drury. And so the fact that it feels like every time he gets out there, he continues to stand out in a positive way. I think that's what he needs to do to earn the trust of this coaching staff to say, yep, you can be more than a fourth line center.
I am trying to think, because I was telling my friend, this is very fun to have the hockey commentary, but I was telling her about the incident at practice with Nathan MacKinnon and how he de-escalated the situation. And I just think really highly of his maturity, Jack Drury, that is. And I actually noticed too that same maturity in a game setting, maybe because it was front of mind because of that practice day. But even just in that first period, that was a little bit ugly. Just some smart plays on the attack from Jack Drury. And some smart plays along the wall too. Just continue to like his maturity as a player. And I think that you looked at that fourth line going into the playoffs last year and you looked at the combined playoff experience and maybe worried, but not so different from how we talk about Parker Kelly, Logan O'Connor, what it is we love about them. They're very mature players, though they might not have the same experience in the NHL as some of the other fourth lines you see around the league. They play with such maturity that they can be trusted on things like high intensity penalty kills in important moments in a game, because his like D zone face off win percentage last year, Jack Drury's, was among the best, especially just taking into account like the number of draws that he took. And so it's a really good skill to have.
I liked the opposite thing of what Jack Drury in the Nathan MacKinnon thing. I liked the opposite thing of what you liked. I liked the fact that before he kind of de-escalated and just removed himself, I liked the fact that he barked back at Nate a little bit.
It's the right balance.
Right. And like, he gave Nate a shot. Nate gave him a few back. And like, make no question about it. Like, Nate is, I think I've said on the show before, like, he's been mentioned to me, he's king of the castle over there, and like, rightfully so. So like, I like the fact that Jack Drury kind of, chirped back at him a bit. Of like, obviously we don't know exactly what he said, but I imagine it was something along the lines of like, hey, we're all just battling out here. Like, we're all working hard. And who else probably likes that is Nate.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, he
probably, it was respectful.
Right. He probably appreciated the fact that this, he's not backing down. He's not afraid of me. We have seen players in training camp be afraid of Nathan MacKinnon, and they did not last here very long.
No.
Nathan MacKinnon demands a lot of himself, demands a lot of the people around him, right down to us, people walking in that locker room. And I think he respects the fact that Jack Drury pushed back.
Yeah. But, within reason.
Yes.
And so it's like when Nate kind of chased him up ice to continue it, that was where it stopped.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that it's both of those things together, 100%. Right? Not letting that get out of hand.
Didn't follow Nate to the bench. They yelled at him, but they went their separate ways. And,
and honestly, stayed out of each other's hair. Like, I think Jack recognized that Nate needed to cool off. So even on drills that followed they were rotating together to ensure that Nate was not his assignment to cover through the rest of that practice. So that was also just kind of the support of his teammates recognizing the situation too. Like, let's let everyone cool down.
Yeah. And again, like I think Evan put out a tweet saying, like, for anybody that might be worried about it, like, don't be worried. This is hockey. This is a team that, has championship aspirations. These are crazy competitive guys. This is just kind of, it's what happens. But no, I think you're right. Like, I think that Nate is Nate, and what people love about him is that he plays with that fire that, he wants to win a board battle in training camp as badly as he does in a game. But like I said, I liked the fact that Jack Drury didn't feel scared in that moment that, oh, Nate's yelling at me.
I don't think they're cut from such a different cloth either. Like, one thing I really appreciated about Jack Drury from last year is if you were to interview him in those regular season games at the end, he was a certain way. And then come playoff time, he was completely different in interviews. Still very kind and polite, but very withholding. And I appreciated just even that small attention to detail that he is very deliberately not giving you very much, not to be disrespectful to you, but to protect strategy. And I think just having that attention to detail in the playoffs, dialing it up that little bit to where you're different, even in interviews with media, I think that's the kind of attention to detail a player like MacKinnon could appreciate.
Let's talk Ivan.
Ivan, not too much on my boy Ivan. Just, when we get to that second game where I got to see Preshepov and Bardakov, I think it was the skill upside that popped a little bit more for me with Ivan because he leveraged it to drive inside ice and create some offensive plays. And so he was also kind of the driver on his line with Christian Humphreys and Ty Felleber. Felleber, has a lot of AHL experience, so he's maybe the most veteran of that line. But then
you say experience, very Canadian. I've never realized that about you. You said experience, and that, wow.
Honestly, too, you guys, I think what happens is I'm just around so many that I'm picking up on it unintentionally.
And I fully interrupted you, stopped you in your tracks, but I just picked up on that you said experience, and that's a very Canadian way for you to say it. I'm so sorry. Keep going.
So Ivan given a little bit of a challenge in this line, right? It's Ty Felleber. So again, great AHL experience, very productive at that level, but then Christian Humphreys, very young player. Green was reassigned today to his junior team. Big year in the OHL for him, I think. He took some penalties again. So I'm like, all right, I hope discipline isn't a continuing problem for Christian Humphreys because I really like him and he has a lot of potential. But that being said, that just made the challenge then for Ivan kind of as the driver of this line a little more challenging. And so I think that he was able to make plays because of that stick handling ability. And I think he does have a good offensive mind too, which is why Bednar rightfully was disappointed that when he had those games up with the Avs and he went back down to the Eagles, he didn't continue to produce like that. And he wasn't, in the bumper spot on a power play unit with Nathan MacKinnon anymore. But there's still a lot to be excited about with Ivan that I think that's where he's separated just comparatively. And we'll get into, maybe the other things I was seeing from Preshepov and Bardakov as we go into that next game. But it unfortunately just kind of kept me at this stalemate in terms of who I've got for that 4C spot in the subsequent winger spot that might be available. Also, you're right, Tristan Nielsen, real quick, AHL only contract for now. Impressive preseason game. Excited to see what he does with the Eagles this year through the rest of camp because he was a difference maker in coming up with some offensive chances that were difficult. It was difficult they had to earn every high danger chance that they got. Yeah. And Tristan Nielsen was another player who was on the doorstep of so many, gunning for it the entire game. So I really was impressed by him.
The main thing that I want to talk about here as we get into the back half of this show is actually what happened with Gabe Landeskog at the end of that first game. But let's put a bookmark right there and let's just talk about a couple more standouts maybe from that second game. And then we'll come back around because I Gabe doing that yesterday drew a parallel in my mind to something that Ross talked to us about last week.
Yes.
And then Gabe's comments after the game. I just want to make sure that we're hitting all that because I think there's something maybe at play there that's a bigger deal than maybe what people are giving it credit for.
I definitely think so. And I'll wait.
Second group featured fewer of the big name stars. But you still had Brock Nelson, Arturi Lehkonen out there, Marty Netchis, who that may be where I want to start with you. But again, a group that had a little bit more emphasis on the younger guys. And given that we're still so early here in camp, that is, we're looking to see where a lot of these guys are shaking out. For you, Megan, standouts, that second game, like I said, that one seemed like it felt a little bit more like a regular preseason game, just with the rosters on both sides.
And I want to give the Avs group in that second game a lot of credit because that was the more experienced Utah lineup between the two. And so it was fun that it was kind of the less experienced Avs lineup, or maybe more fringy types versus more bona fide NHLers on the Utah side of it. So I think that's why it was a closer game too.
Let's start with Marty Netchis because, he came out a couple days ago in camp and kind of put a squash on the I don't like it here rumors. He's like, no, don't know where that came from. Really like it here. I want to be here. As he barrels towards a new contract, you are kind of starting to watch everything with a if he keeps doing that, how much is it going to cost? Well, if he keeps doing that, how much is it going to cost? Now, I have heard that the Avs in Marty's camp are talking, and it sounds like things are actually going pretty well. But he looked good from what I was able to see last night. Skill definitely looks like it's there. And I mean, like he looked like he was maybe taking advantage of a little bit more inexperienced lineup out there, because he seemed like he was going a little Globetrotter mode on some of it.
The skill separation felt very Harlem Globetrottery, but that's where it's like, there's a lot of NHL players though in that Utah lineup that he made look kind of silly. So it was the speed, the zone entries, obviously capitalizing off that breakaway opportunity. Great shot selection there. There were so many things, honestly, just the way he moved the puck in the offensive zone to help set up plays. Everything. I liked everything about Marty Netchis, his first game this preseason.
Yeah, he's a linchpin to a lot of this, right? Like as big as it is for the Avs to have gotten Gabe Landeskog back, and obviously, you have Nathan McKinnon, Val Nichushkin can be healthy and all that, but we can't forget, like, Marty Netchis is who is effectively here to replace Mikko Rantanen in that production. So can he get you in the ballpark of what Mikko Rantanen has gotten you in years past? Can he push it to 85, 90, 95 points? And if he can, you can kind of sit back and say, good on CMAC. You replace the production and you got your depth. And if if the contract comes in around 10 million, you saved yourself $2 million. So I think Marty Netchis, there's going to be a lot of eyes on him this season, not just until he gets his contract signed.
Yeah.
What else for you really popped off in that second game?
It's kind of a mix of things. Like Steinberg was a guy that I had my eye on for maybe that winger spot.
Walked early in that game.
So he made a horrible play. Like he let his guy get inside him and boofed it. But he actually had some really great plays after that kind of redeemed it, honestly, including defending an odd man rush. It was initially just Wyatt Ahmet getting back and like 3 different Utah players. And Ahmet called out to Steinberg for reinforcement, and he got there and made the sliding block to help not only make the save on that play and eventually transition play back up ice. And so there were a couple good plays along the wall, blocking shots, like good reads too, gapping up on his guys and taking away their shooting passing lanes and using his body. So after such a bad read and kind of losing his assignment and getting beat inside, thought he redeemed himself with some smart defensive plays. But obviously that's the kind of costly mistake that will also make you a little harder to trust. So that was just kind of the good and the bad of Steinberg's game, but also why I loved Wyatt Ahmet's game, because of the way that he did defend that odd man rush, communicating and executing to perfection. Just continue to like his battle. And so Nolan Pratt talked a little about him post game, and Jared Bednar shouted out both Jack Ashon and Wyatt Ahmet as guys that got in games at the end of last year that he really liked. And so it just adds to an intriguing pipeline of depth options for defensemen, because White-Ommett's a left shot defenseman. So just kind of an option to keep in mind and remember that he's there. Alex Gagne had that strong play in the neutral zone, but also some good reads in his own end. And I really liked just the pace adjustment from Alex Gagne. And then Malinsky. I didn't really walk away with a lot on him playing on his offside, but he was quarterbacking the top power play unit. So kind of back in an element that's familiar to him. And at first I thought he was being a little reserved in just taking the shot option. But one point, there's a great play along the wall. He does the spin move. I'm not going to call it the tornado because that doesn't feel fair, but he successfully evades the defender coming at him along the wall and gets the puck off to continue play. So I thought, there's that strength of skating, right? And then he takes this shot from the top of the slot, finally, after what I felt like maybe giving up on some shot options. And it helped to get the puck, to the net. And so I think if the confidence to just take the shot is starting to build more regularly, that's extremely encouraging to me. But I'm in a place where I just need to see a lot more. Honestly, not so different from what Jared Bednar told us too. Like, I just need to see him in games.
Right. The like you said, stop short of calling it a full tornado. But it's what you and I have talked about. Like, he is such a strong skater. He's really smooth. He's really smart. Sam Malinsky has, feels like some of those maybe other elements from a lot of the other Avs D kind of rolled into one. And I don't know, maybe it's they're asking him to play on his offside because they didn't want to take any of their other guys out of their, comfort zone. I do choose to look at it, Megan, as they entrusted him with that because they think he's a smart enough player to do it. They think he's a good enough skater. They think he's smooth with the puck on his stick, and he can, because he was telling us, Sam Malinsky was telling you and I, like, yep, those D-to-D passes are going to be a little bit tougher. You have to, turn your body. I really do. I like to think of it as it's the Avs organization saying, we see your toolkit and we think you can do this.
That's exactly it. I asked him how he could leverage his skating to better make this adjustment. And I don't think he, was fully sure of how to apply that. But it's exactly what we're talking about that I think is why he was entrusted with playing on his offside compared to the other options. I think one, just as a younger player among some of the guys that they could ask to, he has a little more runway to make that adjustment earlier. And similarly, the strength of skating and the high IQ, I think, make it an easier transition for him compared to others that might be trying to do it.
Well, and when we were talking to him, he said, might be able to get some more one-timers off, which the dude has an absolute bomb from the blue line.
I was sitting in the crowd again. I heard somebody saying, like, a Malinsky bomb. He didn't do it though.
Yeah.
So that's where I was like, I need to see you do it though.
Yep. Yeah. If you're gonna have that, the stick on the inside,
use it.
Right. Use it. Anything else before we circle back to Gabe?
No, okay. Preshepov didn't jump off the page at me. So that was why I was like, oh, come on, I need more. I want to see him. His thing that's going to help him separate is his grit, his physicality. He's a big player. And so I just want to see him utilize that because that will help him to separate and that will earn favor with Jared Bednar. And then Bardakov, I think, the biggest thing for him, the intensity, the passion was certainly there.
He kind of got, pumped a little bit in that fight, but I just love the fact that he was willing to go, willing to answer the bell. And I just he's a big dude. I mean, like I said, he got fed a few, left hooks, but he's a big, strong guy. And hey, first game in North America, might as well, get something like that out of the way and get yourself involved. So I actually really liked that.
No, I did too. And Nolan Pratt talked a little bit about him and just some of the decisions he makes, in his own end on arrivals. And so the compete was ever present for me. I think he's a highly engaged player. Yeah. So really the only thing that stood out was the pace adjustment still coming along for him. But that's a timing thing. That's a matter of time and getting those reps in. So I'm going to reserve full judgment on Bardakov. A lot of intriguing things, though, that really do feel ready-made to fit what the Avs are looking for. So,
and it's what you just said there. It's not even that I think he's a good fit. It's that he's a great fit for what the Avs are looking for.
Very specifically. So, still of the three, he might, like Ivan. Ivan has some decent experience, but Bardakov, I think, might check a lot more boxes when it's all said and done, but they're all coming pretty close to each other.
Yeah. Let's get back to Gabe.
And
it's bigger than just Gabe. A handful of fights between both games yesterday, and you and I have talked about the fact that sometimes these rookie tournament preseason games, you can get some guys who are kind of running around out there. So none of that was surprising to me. But again, as I'm laying on the couch, wincing in pain, I opened my phone to a text message from Mark. It was like, "Hey, video of the Landeskog fight." And I was like, "What? Gabe Landeskog's fighting in preseason?" And it ends up being a response to an elbow square to the face that Cale Makar takes. And Gabe Landeskog goes out there a shift later. And who was it? Lipkin?
Yeah, Sam Lipkin.
Sam Lipkin from Utah, goes up and says, "Yeah, we're going. We're doing this." And Landeskog got the heavy licks in on that one.
Undoubtedly.
I mean, like those Sam Lipkin's feeling those uppercuts today. But for me, Megan, it wasn't just that he went out there and defended, Cale Makar, and stood for his teammates. It was what he said after. I don't care if it's one of our best players or not. Someone's got to do something. A week ago, you and I sat down with Ross Colton, and he said, we need more physicality and grit. And when we asked him to expand on that, he said, look, it's not even necessarily about going out there and fighting every day, but it's about making sure that other teams know if you're going to do something to one of our top guys, and he specifically called out Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, we are going to respond. We're not going to let our guys get pushed around. Someone's going to do something about it. And the fact that Gabe Landeskog, less than a week after Ross Colton tells us that, goes out and beats the shit out of some guy in the first preseason game in response to something that happened to Cale Makar, like that tells me that's not something that Ross Colton is saying, like, oh, I want to be better about it. That's a message in their locker room. No one is pushing us around this year. No one. And you have to imagine there's a level of that starts with Gabe Landeskog. And, I think even the Utah broadcast said the embodiment of leadership. Your captain who hasn't played in a preseason game in 3 years. You don't want to get carried away. And you're going out there and saying, we're not standing for that. I don't care if it's a preseason game or if it's a Stanley Cup final. No one can take shots at our guys and not pay the price.
It's incredibly significant. On the heels of Ross Colton's comments, it's not lost on me that there's 4 fights in these games. And of course, it's significant too that it's Landeskog defending Cale Makar. And I think it was really an important note too that it didn't matter who it was. That was a high elbow. So you have to answer for that. There's no place for that. It's preseason. What the heck are we doing? Calm down. And I think you're exactly right. It's very powerful to see your leader answering that call. Because I imagine it's like talk the talk, walk the walk. And when you see the guy with the C on his chest defending his teammate like that, it makes you want to be a part of it too. Right now, there's this chain of command that you have to answer to anytime you play the Avs, right? Like, I don't think you're going to have to just go through Gabriel Landeskog after this, right? Like, I think you're just going to have to worry about the threat of answering to any of these Avs players, especially seeing how many players did drop the gloves in between both games yesterday. And I think that points to what Ross Colton was saying in this team-wide message of being hard to play against, because I agreed with Jared Bednar too that I don't think it was absent from this team. I don't think they're a soft team, but I do think it's important for them all to be on the same page in terms of not getting pushed around, sticking up for one another. I think back to the Dallas series, how Dallas was taking liberties at the fourth line, and they were getting away with a lot, just dunking on Parker Kelly, Jack Drury, Logan O'Connor. And I do imagine that maybe is part of this too, and seeing how Dallas took advantage of being able to beat up on that fourth line. But if you have a whole team to answer to, it's bigger than that now.
Yeah. And here we go. Super chat hit the lights. We got 2 two here. First one, vaguely sober. Cap stole Lipkin's lunch money. He sure did. He got the better of that one. And then our guy, Ethan Olvera, back in the super chat. We are circling back to Ethan Olvera at the end. He needs your jersey recommendations. Drop them in the chat. Could you throw that one back up there one more time? Sorry. Does Gabe have what it takes to don the C for Team Sweden? Great question. I could see Gabe Landeskog being the captain of Team Sweden at the Olympics.
It's a pretty easy sell for me.
I feel like it's him or Victor Hedman, honestly.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy sell for me.
Yeah.
He's so likable that I also think this is his way of putting the rest of the league on notice that he's back.
All right. So that's where I was going to go next. Big shout out, Vaguely and Ethan. Thanks for jumping in the super chats. It's nice. Been live in the studio for a while. We hadn't had the green lights in a minute. So that was great. Money lights.
Money lights.
Megan, I completely agree. Not only do I think that was him putting the league on notice, I think that was him putting the organization on notice. You said talk the talk, walk the walk. There are 10 other guys that probably should have jumped in before Gabe Landeskog last night. Guys trying to make an impression, trying to make a team, show that they can stand up for guys, not only endearing themselves to Jared Bednar, but Mark Letestu as well, the new Colorado Eagles head coach. But Gabe said, no. I'm going to go out there and take care of this. And that's one of those things where all 20, whatever guys were left on that bench are looking at that going, oh, shit. If Gabe Landeskog's willing to drop the gloves in a preseason game, I got no excuse to not play with that type of intensity every single shift. So I completely agree. I think that was him putting, the Shen brothers back on notice. Like, hey, I'm back. Get the ice packs out.
Yeah.
But I do think that was him also putting not just the guys who are going to be on the Avs roster, but the entire organization. This is how we do things. We stand up for the guys, that are on this bench with us. And like you said, the fact that he specifically called out, I don't care if it's Cale Makar or whoever. If someone does something to one of our guys, we have to respond.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I love it too. And honestly, what I hope too is, I'm not aware of this, but I hope there were several guys that wanted to line up for that fight. And it was kind of Landeskog like, no. Yep. I got this. And the reason I say that is because of the instant response from the whole team the minute Cale Makar went down. Isaac Posh immediately comes out of his net to check on him. Like, I'm not even sure if any sort of a whistle had been blown yet. Yep. He's out of his net just to make sure Cale's okay. And then back on the bench when Cale is being tended to, Keaton Middleton standing in front of him so that Jumbotron camera can't see Cale. And he's using his body to shield him. So he has a little bit of privacy as he's being taken care of. And I just thought, what amazing teammates that, everybody is surrounded by in this moment. And so, I don't doubt then that there were probably other guys willing to defend Cale Makar's honor, but it was important that it was Gabriel Landeskog who set that tone.
Well, and so honestly, Megan, even just hearing, because, that was stuff that I wasn't able to see from finding clips and stuff online. With my injury.
I know.
With my day-to-day
I'm sorry.
injury.
I hope that Gabriel Landeskog's fight though, there was instant pain relief, at least for a moment.
It did. And then the text you sent me after that first game was the other one.
Almost healed.
Yeah. Seriously. What you just described there, in the lead up to the 2022 year, and not just that season, in the seasons that led up to it, that was so much of what we heard about. Like, this team is so in it for for each other. And they're a really close-knit team. They, on the ice, off the ice, the locker room is great. Everyone gets along. They're all battling for each other. And what you just described, like Keaton Middleton, shielding Cale Makar from the camera, Isaac Posh, who will be with the Eagles, going out and checking on him, Gabe Landeskog stepping up and fighting for Cale Makar. Like, this sounds like a special group.
It really does. It was very, it just tugged at my heartstrings a little bit. Like, man, they really love each other. They love playing with each other, for each other. And I am excited to see what that means then for this group. And someone in the chat asked about an update on Cale Makar. It was an off day today, so we don't have a new update from Jared Bednar's post-game update that he still was, being further evaluated, but he believed that he was fine.
Yeah. But no, Megan, like I said, we've heard from a couple of the guys how they feel about this team and the way that things ended last year. Ross Colton telling us I was sitting in the press box just chomping at the bit to be able to get into these games and you know, whatever. Like, I think there's a real chip on this team's shoulder. I think they're highly motivated. I think, you know, I think they're a close group. And then I think, you know, you add in Gabe Landeskog back on all of this, and it just kind of takes all of that stuff to another level for me.
Someone in the chat mentioned Drury was following Lipkin around after, and that feels like very classic Jack Drury behavior.
Totally.
Interesting too. I mean, Middleton, right? He already met his fight quota early into the game, but I don't doubt he would have fought a second time. They're probably having to hold him back.
Jesse, what are you hearing on the Netjes contract? Yeah, we talked about it a little bit off the top. I think they're moving towards a resolution. I think Marty Netjes wants to be here. I think the Avs want to keep him here. You know, you and I think it was last week. Look, if Sidney Crosby hit the trade block this week, yeah, I'm sure the Avs would call and be like, what about Marty Netjes? But short of that, I think the Avs want Marty here. I think they understand, and I believe we talked about it on this show earlier this summer. You know, okay, if you were to go out and flip Marty Netjes, you're not going to get as good of a player back. And just every time you do that, you're just going to water it down a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. I think Marty Netjes is a guy that can match Mikko Rantanen's production this year. I think the Avs are going to pay him. I think it's going to come in somewhere between 9.5 and 10.5. I don't expect it to be on that higher end. My guess would probably be right around 10. And honestly, that's fine. That's fine.
As each day passes, I'm more and more comfortable with that 10, right?
Me
Like
too.
I was up with high 9s. That's kind of where I wanted it to come in. And then I started to sit with the possibility of it being 10 at 10 or like a little low 10. And I'm more comfortable with it by the day, not just because Marty Netjes just looked great in one game.
Right.
I think with the cap just continuing to go up and the market potentially being set in a crazy way, like with a Kaprizov contract and even a McDavid who's like still unsigned, I don't think that impacts it like in the same way.
I think the Kaprizov one does, yeah.
Kaprizov does for sure. All that to say, it's better to get this business done sooner rather than later for a lot of reasons.
And to your point about the rising cap, okay, let's say it's 10, just on the money, 10. Megan, you're getting a bigger bump than that likely next season in the salary cap.
1000%.
So like you're already paying him 6, you're giving him a $4 million raise. That's really not going to eat into what you've got, you know, your cap situation going forward. And then, you know, by the year after that, we're going to be $25 million higher than where we're at right now. You know, assuming there's not another global pandemic that takes fans out of games. So again, if it's 10, I know people will look at that and say, oh, Mikko was 12. You should have just kept him. Look, you know, yeah, you can't relitigate the past. What's done is done. As Joe Sakic told us at the end of the season, they're moving forward. And if you can get a 90 to 100 point player out of Marty Netjes every year playing next to Nathan MacKinnon at $10 million, do it. That's where I'm at.
His toolkit is very fun. Like he's not Mikko Rantanen. That's
right.
obvious, but some of the ways in which he differs from Mikko Rantanen are really valuable things that the Avs need, including his speed and his ability to leverage it for zone entries and give them another option then for entries, you know, inside the top 6 that isn't just Nathan MacKinnon.
Well, and as Nate mentioned, I believe it was on Media Day, when Marty Netjes first got to town, that power play was electric.
Yes.
He gave a new dynamic to Nathan MacKinnon, and suddenly you had, you know, these two guys. Nathan, you know, Nate kind of starts playing this like rover, and Nathan MacKinnon slips out of that spot, so you're not really paying attention to it, but you do still have a one-timer threat with Marty Netjes there. Like, you could really make this into something really, really fun. Marty Netjes has to hold up his end of the bargain and continue to produce and, you know, drive play and things like that, of course. But if you're going to continue to get a better version of Marty Netjes, still young, $10 million, you live with it, and you move on. And nobody knows for sure what Mikko Rantanen was really asking, you know, and maybe it wasn't 12. Maybe that was what he eventually settled on in a no state tax state. But, you know, we just don't know. So all we can do is go based off what Marty Netches is going to sign for.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be somewhere between 9.5 and 10.5, somewhere in there.
All we can do is move forward.
All you can do is move forward. Megan, got anything else today?
I had fun. I had fun. Hockey's back, you guys.
Yeah. Weird preseason schedule though here, eh? Like
Big break.
And you know, like
Hate.
geez, I mean, there's only like 1 or 2 days of media availability this week. They got testing, they got off days, things like that, which should let everyone know. I'm Megan. So you, me, and Chloe were talking, and I said, guys, as soon as this season ends, I am booking a trip and I'm getting away for a weekend. I never did that.
No.
So it's my birthday this week. So I'm gonna go just go try to unplug for a couple days, go see the ocean and touch the water and just kind of reset myself a bit. So the Avs threw me a bone this week by making it a light schedule.
Yes, you more than earned a vacation. Like, you guys should know, Jesse doesn't just cover the Avs. He does everything. So, and he hasn't taken a day off. So he has earned this break. I have jury duty tomorrow, you guys. I really hope I don't get picked. So
have you called? Do you know, like, if your number's been picked?
Oh, no, I need to look into this.
Yeah. So you call, I think it's 24 hours before.
Perfect.
And they'll list off a bunch of numbers. And the 2 times I've gotten summoned for jury duty, my number hasn't been pulled to even report.
Oh, you guys, I might not have jury duty tomorrow, but pause for tomorrow. Like, if our coverage is a little funky, because they do have a practice day, like a pretty full one. But then we will get you covered through the rest of the week. Just stay tuned for what that schedule looks like from us. Like, I'll try to do an off ice still with a guest, maybe.
Yep.
So yeah, just hang tight with us for this next week.
And there will be a pod. Should we announce it
so
here,
excited.
or do you want to wait? Do we need to wait to announce it?
I don't know. We can announce it.
All right. Well, new show debuting tomorrow here on Gorilla Sports, hosted by Megan Angley. Guys, this is something we're really excited about. The official Colorado Eagles podcast. First episode will be going out tomorrow, featuring head coach Mark Letestu. The show will be every other week, hosted by Megan, and we're gonna have. This is going to be unprecedented access for a hockey pod. We're gonna have players, team staff, coaches. Megan's going to be, up there involved in arena a lot. And make sure you check out that episode tomorrow, because it's a fun giveaway that the Eagles are running for the inaugural episode. So really excited about that. And Megan, I gushed a little bit for you on that pod. Megan had me on as a guest this week, but I don't, and I mean this sincerely, I just told everyone upstairs, I don't know if there's anyone else in hockey that I would rather have running this show for the Eagles. Your depth of knowledge on that, on not only that organization, but the prospect pipeline, and your passion for that hockey community that's up there, Eagles country that's up there, is unmatched. And I'm so excited for us to get this show going. It's a lot of what we envisioned when we first started Gorilla, being able to partner with some of these, great organizations. And you've been such a driver for us in that and getting our relationship with the Eagles established. And not only am I grateful for that, but like I said, I just couldn't be more excited for this show to get going. And I was able to get a peek at it, the episode, and be a little bit part of it. And it's going to be amazing. People are going to love it. And we got an event coming up with the Eagles here on Wednesday. Looks like we did have one more super chat. Thank you very much. My birthday is on Saturday. So I'm getting out here, going to take a couple of days off for the week, and then right into the weekend for the birthday. But thank you very much. That's going to do it.
Yeah.
So there won't be an episode of Off Ice tomorrow, but the inaugural episode of the official Colorado Eagles podcast with Megan Angley will be coming tomorrow. You'll hear a ton from Eagles head coach Mark Letestu. So you got that to look forward to. That'll be every other Tuesday starting tomorrow.
Yay.
Can't wait. She's Megan Angley. I'm Jesse Montano. We got Ashley and Dan back there. Want to give Dan a shout out this week. He came on board with Gorilla over the weekend and immediately started helping us make great content. You guys know Dan from 43 Degree Sports. Could not recommend their products and their stuff any more highly than what I'm saying right now. Like I couldn't recommend it more highly. And they've got some fun stuff in the works as well. So we're really happy to be working with Dan. I just want to give him a shout out this week. That's going to do it. Enjoy the week, guys. We'll be back at it with the podcast tomorrow. And like Megan said, we're
TBD.
We're getting our bearings on everything else with some potential jury duty and stuff. So we'll get it figured out. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Ah!